see, the brain is made of water. It never rains till it pours. All my skin feels like the rain, and all my bones are ivory. I feel extrasensory, charged with electricity. Cause there's more to us, more than flesh and blood. You know it all. Cause there's more to love, more than flesh and blood. Yes, I'm winning. I wanna feel it. Wear each scar and more, just like I mean it. My heart's on my sleeve, girl. 'Cause I'm a believer. All my skin feels like the rain, and all my bones are ivory. I feel extrasensory. Damn, this feels so good to me. You know it all. 'Cause there's more to us, more than flesh and blood. You know it all. 'Cause there's more to love, more than flesh and blood. Yes, I'm winning. You know it all. 'Cause there's more to us, more than flesh and blood. You know it all. 'Cause there's more to love, more than flesh and blood. Yes, I'm winning. You know it all. More than flesh and blood. You know it all. More than flesh and blood. You know it all. More than flesh and blood. You know it all.
Dope. What's up? This is Roots to Grooves. Actually, I'll do it the way I usually start. I'm Jesse. Across from me is Jay. That makes this Roots to Grooves. What's up, Jay?
What's up, Jesse?
What's up, people
People, the world.
at large? We love you. I'm a little hot. Could you turn me down a little
You,
bit?
you want to be turned down a little bit? I was
yeah.
turning me up. How's that?
Oh, good, perfect.
Yep. All right, good.
Actually, get me a little hotter now.
Nate, a little hot.
Tiny bit.
Hot sauce.
Yep. Yeah. Good. Spicy.
Okay. Good.
I like it. Nice. Okay.
It's all the same volume to everyone listening and watching right now. I don't know what they're talking about.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
You guys were talking about Franc Moody.
Yes.
Cool, super cool group. I had no idea who they were. Jay brought them up the other day.
Yeah.
To me, seemingly out of the blue.
Yeah.
And it's just a very cool, soulful disco. You can say indie, but it's kind of poppy.
Yeah.
I don't know, pop, soul, disco. What's in my notes here? Funk.
Yeah.
Is the other main component.
Yeah.
Really cool vocals, cool harmonies, just really danceable music. Mm-hmm. Really, production-wise, it's kind of psychedelic in the way that it's really a lot of things going on, little bits and pieces to make up the funk and the groove.
Yeah.
Just very lush. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very good band.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it was, I think I might have heard the name Franc Moody somewhere along my musical travels on the internet. Mm-hmm. But it was when I decided for the first time in a long time to go to the Discover Weekly and Spotify. Oh. I used to be on that like weekly because they they give you a playlist every week of stuff, you know. And I sort of fell out of it, but I was like, oh, I wonder how jacked up my playlists have gotten since I play everything from Spotify on the radio.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
It's skewed.
But it was like the second track in the playlist, and I was like, whoa. It was one of the tracks from their album Dream in Color. And I was like, who's this? This is really cool. Just dove into that album, listened to every track, and I've been bumping it. This has been like 2 weeks ago I found this album, and it's been a long time since I've discovered a new album and put it on heavy rotation and listened to it kind of thing. And
This is a good one.
Yeah, I've been doing that with them. And yeah, like you said, lush, like disco-y, funk, house. I was getting a lot of like sort of soul, R&B vibes from it.
100%.
It's always interesting when you listen to the music from someone for the first time. You sort of like imagine in your head who they are and what they're doing. I imagined it was like some like cool young cat out of Los Angeles or something like that, you know, doing this stuff. A little bit like Levin Carly, who's an artist I don't know if you've heard of, but he's sort of been around. But no, they're not. They're from London, and it's a duo. I described their look. I thought about this because the way they dress and that is like punk rave.
Okay, yeah.
Because they look like they're in the Sex Pistols, but also that they just walked out of a 90s rave.
Right. No, yeah, the 90s kind of aesthetic. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
They came from rave culture,
Right.
as we'll get into.
Yeah.
And then their aesthetic is kind of colorful, though.
Yeah.
So it's like mixed with that kind of grungy, industrial type of feel with a more poppy, like colorful aesthetic over the top.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess sort of like modern streetwear was like a little bit.
Yeah, they seem pretty hip. They come off as hip.
Yeah.
They got like 4 albums out.
Yeah.
They haven't been around too long. This is a fairly new band, relatively speaking. Their first stuff dropped in around 2017.
Yeah.
As Franc Moody, at least.
Yeah.
I was just going to say a couple of their influences. Oh, yeah. One sec before, because you had mentioned their name.
Oh, yeah.
So when I first heard about this band, Franc Moody, when I started the research, I was looking for a connection to Californication.
Oh.
And I was the show.
The show?
Yeah,
Okay,
with David Duchovny.
Okay.
And because his role in that, his character is called Hank Moody.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought this was one of those bands, without knowing anything before I knew anything about them, that they were just like playing off of Hank Moody's name.
Right.
I was like, oh, cool. Because a lot of EDM artists, like we were talking about, do that.
Yeah. Like Com Trues.
Yeah.
And stuff. Ross from Friends.
San Holo.
Yeah.
All these names like that, which are fun, and it's kind of a cultural thing in that arena of music. Come to find out, no, it has nothing to do with Hank Moody or Californication. No references at all. They probably don't even know what that show is.
Right.
I thought that was funny. Other than that, I don't know where Franc Moody. I mean, they just took it from their names.
Yeah.
Is how they got that name, I guess.
Yeah. So it's Ned Frank and John Moody are the two main guys in this group duo.
And so they kind of see it as a collective.
Yeah.
More so than a band. Like if you ask them, they wouldn't be like, our band is, Moody and Frank.
Right.
It's like, I don't know how they're the main songwriters.
Yeah.
They're the main kind of producers, and they're they're spearheading this project.
Yeah.
But they definitely use featured vocals.
Yeah.
And other people playing instruments.
Yeah.
Live certainly, and on the records as well.
Yeah. Which we'll get into, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, and I think they said they went through a bunch of band names, and they were like, let's just see how our last names fit together. And they were like, oh, that works.
It has a good ring to it. It works.
It's good because sometimes you could go into like attorney/lawyer territory if you mix last names, like, Standard and Poor or something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
Too corporate.
Exactly.
Too corporate.
But Franc Moody, I saw the name as well, and that's why I thought it was like some hip young guy from LA just doing cool R&B music or whatever. Because I got that vibe more than anything else, R&B for some reason.
Totally.
But as I listened through, it's a little dancey, clubby, but very song orientated, which we'll also talk about, I think, a little bit later.
100%. But they have a lot of these really good musical components in there, adding to this lush environment that they create.
Yeah.
I was going to say a couple of their influences.
Yeah.
Sure, you could probably hear it. Daft Punk, probably huge. James Brown, artist called Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about him a little bit.
Yeah.
They've been compared to artists like Chic and Nile Rodgers. Nile Rodgers being in Chic, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they're still together.
Okay.
George Clinton. Yeah, that's the last influence. That's all I
Yeah.
got.
Was George Clinton in Parliament Funkadelic? Or, because they mentioned Parliament Funkadelic as well.
Is he a part of that?
I
think he definitely has his own thing going.
feel like he was associated with it. Like, this is a gap in my musical history here right now.
Well, we're about to play another song, and we're going to do some research.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to it. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about Franc Moody.
Yeah.
Super cool, lush, funky, groovy vibes. So let's play a track, and then let's get more into this.
Let's do it.
Dopamine is synthesized from tyrosine, a basic amino acid, and is stored in synaptic vesicles. Receptor stimulation of the postsynaptic membrane sends the impulse to the next neuron. Dopamine. 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 Release dopamine. Dopamine. Dopamine.
I can feel my heartbeat. I can feel the air I breathe. I can feel my vision. I can feel the sweat roll down as my pulse builds hour by hour. Dopamine. Dopamine. I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I'm a big cat off a chain. I'm a liberty. I'm a winner, I'm a champ. I'm that low hypnotic pimp. Call me dopamine. 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 Dopamine.
Dopamine is synthesized.
Dopamine. Dopamine.
From tyrosine, basic amino acid.
Dopamine. Dopamine.
Synthesized from tyrosine, basic amino acid. Dopamine.
Yeah.
Release dopamine.
Dopamine, off of Franc Moody's debut album Dance Moves, came out in 2018. You're listening to Rooster Grooves
Damn straight.
with me, Jay, and here, Jesse.
Yeah.
Ha.
Here I am. Yeah. We're talking about Franc Moody.
Yeah.
Luscious, groovy.
A duo, not a solo artist, as you might have thought, which you talked about.
Holding true to their influence.
Yeah.
Artists like, Daft Punk.
Right.
Or other even, what do you call that whole? No, England? No, not England. Europe. Like European dance duos,
Right, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like Air, Daft
Yeah.
Punk,
Chemical Brothers,
Yeah.
Ray and Christian.
There's a bunch.
Bentley Rhythm Ace. That's a really old one
I don't know that
for the
one.
people out there that get that reference. Yeah.
But yeah, Franc Moody.
Orbital, Underworld. Sorry.
Let's keep going. Let's go.
There are a lot. Now you mention it, I'm like, yeah. Why are there so many like electronic duos? Out of
Polo
Europe?
and Pan.
Yeah, from France. That
Yeah.
we did an episode on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dynamic duos is cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Let's talk about where'd these guys come from? Franc Moody. Do we know anything about their background, history, anything like that, Jay?
I don't really know anything about Ned and John's personal lives, upbringings. For me, the story really starts with them together as part of collective in this area of London called Tottenham.
Okay. Well, let me back up real quick because I got a little bit.
Okay.
Got a couple points.
Okay.
Just a couple notes. I know John was born into a family of classical musicians.
Yeah.
So he was up in the music, and they had cellos, violins,
Right.
oboes.
Yep.
So he certainly some, musical stimulation from his family, and his immediate surroundings when he was young.
And I was like, should I give it away now or not? About his mother and his sister playing violin and doing the strings. Okay, right.
No,
not
I
yet.
don't know. Teaser. We got teased.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting teased. We're gonna. Okay.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
We know how to do a narrative here on Rooster Grooves. And then Ned was musically educated by the stereo of his parents' car.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So they were always blasting soul. They were just like into music, but I don't think they were like into the industry of music.
Right.
But like 50s and 60s dance type music.
Right.
New Orleans music, rock
yeah.
and roll, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Eddie Cochran. So, yeah. And then so I think this band does harken back because as we'll see when they get to that warehouse, they're kind of, anyway, we'll go one step at a time.
Right. Yeah.
But that's all I got basically.
Yeah.
But then basically, I think when they became teenagers, they started playing in different bands.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a little bit they played in the same band together. Is that right?
I haven't heard them say that, but like they were part of this collective of musicians that they all knew each other and they're all in different bands, like about 15 or 17 of them kind of thing. At a certain point they established this warehouse venue in an area of London called Tottenham.
So I heard it was a abandoned warehouse.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
And they just like
abandoned warehouse.
squatted in there. They're just like, we're gonna take this over.
They called it the Arch, was like its name. They got this place, but they had to have some money to rent the space. I'm not sure if they squatted because they actually said one of their old labels gave them some money to like build a mezzanine in there and stuff like that.
Okay, I thought it was abandoned and they just like let's throw a rave.
Yeah, who knows the legality of this warehouse? We don't know.
It's ambiguous.
Tottenham, I used to rehearse out in this area of London back in the early 2000s. It was quite a shitty area of London. Sorry, I don't know.
Tottenham?
It's like industrial kind of thing, yeah. It's like, I used to go to this warehouse. I used to go to like this rehearsal studio that was like kind of, I might edit this out, but it was like the Rainier building or something like that. It was like an industrial area, big old building. Apparently Coldplay used to rehearse in there and stuff like that. But there was this complex of different rehearsal rooms, and you could go in there and rent by the hour, and they had a shitty drum kit, a Marshall amp, a bass cab, some microphones, PA. You just bring in your stuff and rehearse and that kind of thing.
Sounds good.
But yeah, that's all I really saw of that area was just like getting off the train station, lots of industrial buildings, not a lot going on there kind of thing. Prime location to have a warehouse and do some late night parties, I would think. Which is
primed for this story.
Which is what the guys, Ned and Franc Moody. Ned and John. Ned, Frank, and John Moody. Well,
and John.
Getting confusing. So they established this place, and it was it's interesting because they sort of were putting on these really like big sort of like almost rave type atmosphere parties that would rage on until like 3 or 4 in the morning.
I think it's safe to say they were raves.
Yeah, but also they were they had live bands playing at like 3 in the morning, which is like very different to like just the whole DJ thing.
Right. Yeah, they took it next level.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how they built this scene is what I'm
Yeah.
based on what I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like they just there was DJs and stuff, like a rave, and it would be like kind of a clubby thing.
Yeah.
And these parties would go through the night, through the day.
Yeah.
Into the next day. And they would have these DJs playing, and then the live bands would they would go on at 3 a.m. like you said.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Polo and Pan did this. We did an episode on them. They started with the whole warehouse scene vibe as well, doing a similar thing. DJ mostly though. But yeah, these guys, like, because I think they were in separate bands at a certain point, and they both described the music they were doing as swamp pop. I don't know if you came across this term.
I didn't see that.
Apparently, like, it's a genre of music from like South Louisiana, so it's kind of like upbeat, dancey, but like blues orientated, with like a lot of people in the band, like a 9-piece band kind of thing.
Right.
So that was interesting that they were doing that. Like,
I mean, yeah. So even I think they hearkened it to just their whole scene that they created when they were looking back on it. They hearkened it to like kind of the scenes down in New Orleans. Like they had some kind of connection there, just to the cultural aspect of the dancing and the music creation and the bringing to people together aspect. Yeah. And so I think down there you've probably seen it. There's a style called Zydeco.
Yeah.
Right, and that's like a New Orleans, Louisiana popular type of music.
I want to say that. Oh no, I'm getting this confused with Calliope music.
Okay,
Calliope music is like the weird, like fairground type sounding stuff. I'm not too much familiar with Zydeco though.
I'm not either. I was looking into it a little bit, and it felt it was kind of like I can't describe it.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if I could, but there was an accordion, and it was kind of upbeat, and it was meant for dancing.
Okay.
Is the main gist of what I'm trying to say, but I wouldn't be able to, the music was like upbeat and fun and lively. That's the most I can say.
I have a description in front of me. It blends blues, rhythm and blues, and music indigenous to the Louisiana Creoles and Native Americans of Louisiana. Cajun music thrown in there as well. So piano, accordion are the main instruments. Washboard.
Yeah, this guy had a washboard.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
doing some cool rhythms.
I feel like I've heard it, but I can't like. We need to listen to some Zydeco.
Yeah. On the break.
On the break. Yeah.
We'll play some. We'll bump it.
Yeah.
But cool stuff. So that's kind of where they got the idea to kind of alchemize it into their own style of music and style of bringing people together and having a good time.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Just really grassroots.
Yeah.
And natural, organic thing.
Yeah.
Totally DIY.
Yeah.
Like basically DIY club. They were running a bar out of there too.
Right.
And
Sure, that was legal, right?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, was this a real place or was this just a totally abandoned place?
Yeah.
No legalities, just a bunch of teenagers doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics, but they were running a bar and serving alcohol.
Right.
And they said it wasn't a great idea because it was a bunch of musicians trying to run a bar. I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but it sounds like a great time. But as far as that, they were at the Arch and they kind of played out that scene and they were looking for the next thing to build.
Yeah.
Basically. So they were looking for another studio or place to work. And I think they ended up finding a spot, but they couldn't find a spot that was big enough to fit a drum set. And so that kind of affected the way that they made music.
Right.
Instead of doing like the total, using a drum set with real sounds and recording that, they started getting into the electronic side, mostly as a way for them to continue to make music without needing the drum set.
Right.
And so that's kind of where they started leading into more electronic influences, I think, more clubby, dance, groovy, Daft Punk style stuff.
Yeah, it's probably where like the Daft Punk and Jamiroquai influences molded kind of thing.
100%.
Seeking out like, because they talk a lot about like their love of like roots, funk and soul, and that's also a little bit different than the Zydeco and the swamp pop stuff that they talk about that they were a part of as well. So, I think like when they first established this project, they knew they were just going to make music with each other, and like you say, that's kind of the studio environment dictated like the move into sort of like electronic and like programming beats, but still they're trying to do it in a way which, sounded organic. And I think they also said right from the very start, even though they were making music in this way, they knew ultimately they were going to get a live band to play whatever they wrote or came up with kind of thing. That was like always their goal apparently. because
The live aspect.
the live aspect, yeah, and neither one of them are like interested in going up with like laptops and USB sticks on a stage. Like to them, that's not the vibe. You
Right.
know? The vibe is like having a lot of people on stage and creating that kind of rave atmosphere. They always say they're trying to do at shows. They're trying to create that vibe, that energy, the fun aspect sort of thing.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is connection.
Connection, yeah.
A cool way for people to connect with each other, and that's what the rave scenes and all of these scenes essentially do through music. And so that's one thing that I really love about Franc Moody in general. These guys is that they have a lot of integrity and perseverance for creating the connection, and they're doing it through the music, and they know that, and they do it intentionally, and that I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're kind of going through this phase where they're transferring and they're growing into a little bit of a different style. And I know they said they used to go to Glastonbury every summer, the big festival over there. Yeah, of course. And so they would see like people like George Clinton, who they were into in the past, but then they started seeing other artists like floating points, which I think is more of an electronic type.
Yeah, I've
so
come across them. I think. Yeah.
So I'm just saying they're trying to draw a picture. Their influencers are kind of like being warped and focused. And focused onto what they're going to be doing for the next few years. Yeah, definitely. Which is cool. Yeah. And so earlier, one sec, I just said that they'd released their first stuff in like 2017, but I think they had dropped their first EP technically in 2016. Yeah. I think it was titled Franc Moody.
Either that or just EP, I think I saw on Spotify somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Which is instrumental, which is interesting. No vocals in this. I think there's a little bit like minimal backing vocals, but it's predominantly an instrumental EP. And it's interesting because I think it's only like 4 tracks, and you can hear early starts of ideas that were later more fully fleshed out on Dream in Color, which is their second album. I don't know. I don't know what I know like there's a Juno synth that they like to use, and I don't know if this sound is in there, but like there's a certain like arpeggiated like rhythmic synth thing that I've heard in 2 or 3 tracks kind of thing, but it really comes into its own on this album, Dream in Color. Can't remember which track it is, but it's like a very like rhythmic synth thing that's like part of it. Like,
we need to get one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Synths scare me.
I love synths.
Really? They scare me.
Me too. Me too.
Not when I was a kid. Not when I was like learning piano and we'd get a new keyboard in the house and it would have all these sounds. I'd cycle through all the sounds and play all of the drum beats that were on there and just love it. I'd just fuck around with all the sounds and all that. But synths, I don't know. I had a friend that had the whole analog wall, and you like patch bays and you're plugging things in to create sounds. He would even make his own like little modules. Like, this one just does like whatever. Low filter or whatever. It's like a fucking science project at that point to me, like, you know. But then there are all the built-in synths you get that are famous, like the Juno and all that. Chromeo, we haven't talked about them. I don't know if you know them.
I don't.
But they're like big synth. They're another duo, but I think they're Israeli, Middle Eastern, but based in America. We should actually talk about them. They do a lot of like sort of disco house stuff.
Sounds cool.
But I bring them up because I remember they did this old video on like Beat the Clock. You know, those like videos where they have to make a beat in like 10 minutes or something like that on one of these channels. And their studio is just full of synths, floor to ceiling on each side, just rack mounted.
Lovely.
And it's all like plugged in so they can just go over to any one of them.
That's tight.
Play it.
That's,
you know,
amazing.
But it overwhelms me, that shit. I don't know what machine to go to. Can you get the same setting back again if you like find something cool? You know?
No, exactly. Yeah. No, I think you got to record stuff right when you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's never going to be the same.
Right. Yeah.
The settings.
Yeah.
So esoteric, and it changes. Like I think it changes in the air. Like, I mean, just like, because I know, like, talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
I heard like, you know, John Frusciante talking about like the guitar when I think they were doing Stadium Arcadium, and he said that's where I got it. Like years ago, I saw some YouTube video, and he was like, you know, you plug in the sounds and it's running through all these compressors, and the guitar's just right and everything's perfect. Like record it now.
Oh,
like
yeah.
get it now, because we won't be able to put everything back where it was.
Right.
Even if we write it down
Yeah.
and notate it and put everything back how it was, the air is different. It's going to sound different.
There you go.
There's something you can't get back.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
just saying about the magic that's of that moment.
Yeah.
And to, like harness it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Carpe diem, seize the day.
Is
that right?
Seize the moment, seize the day.
I know some Latin.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty good. But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, so instrumental EP, they're doing the thing.
And then the first track that we opened up this podcast with, Dopamine, that was kind of a big track for them.
Yeah.
And that was off their first album that dropped in 2017.
Yeah.
But Dopamine was kind of the culmination, at least at the genesis of this band,
Yeah.
where all of their kind of techniques and influences united for something really epic.
Yeah.
It had vocals, groovy, funky, harkening back to 50s and 60s, kind of rock, bringing people together, it's a dancey thing.
Yeah.
So everything kind of culminated into Dopamine,
Yeah.
which is a really great standout track for them to get them started in 2017.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I just kind of Dream in Color was the album. That I went
let's go
to.
straight to it. That was our first album, and then Dream in Color is interesting because that's what you introduced me to this band with.
Okay, so you listened to that one first before.
So that's how I was introduced as well.
Actually, we had a little dance party in our music studio the other day.
I mean, that was it, yeah.
Because if the listeners don't know, we're working on a secret music project right now. There's 4 of us. It's as yet untitled, but there's some great songs that are going to come out. But we were playing some inspirations, and I bumped a couple of tracks from this album, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. We had it loud, cranked up, like, to me, that sounded even better. Like from when I was like in the headphones, just enjoying it by myself, to hearing it loud. It's like, man, I got to hear music more out of the speakers more often.
Yeah, I think that's stuff like this is meant to be listened to like that with other people.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Of like enjoying the moment and being together.
Right.
I think that's what these people are doing.
Yeah.
What Franc Moody is doing, and I think that's epic.
Yeah.
So really cool. And so this album's it's kind of like what we've been describing, Franc Moody. It's lush, it's groovy, it's dynamic, a lot of cool production techniques, good harmonies, good vocals. Mm-hmm. It's somewhat poppy, but it's not a pop record. It's definitely more funk and groove oriented and just kind of vibey production. So it sounds quite contemporary and modern.
Yeah.
But obviously it's utilizing a lot of the tricks and aesthetic vibes from back in the day.
Should we give the listeners and viewers a little taste?
A little taste?
Dream in Color. This track's called Terra Firma.
I'm 100 miles and rising. I'm 1,000 feet of climbing. Never going back. Never coming down. Never going back. Never coming down.
Terra Firma from Franc Moody. Franc Moody. Jesus Christ.
Who the heck is Franc Moody?
I think there's a movie that I've wanted to see called Mank, but I haven't watched it. It's black and white. It's I want to say it's what's his name that did Social Network and Fight Club, director David Fincher.
Fincher.
Old Finchy. Mank, out now on Netflix. Sorry, that was a plug. Franc Moody, the track we just played. Terra Firma was the track from Dream in Color, the album that I've loved and have probably said that more than once. And
It's a good one.
Yeah, that whole album just slams for me from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'd both be in agreement if I said that we would, if you want to get into Franc Moody, check out this album number 1.
Yeah.
Just start right there.
Yeah.
And you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I just have a lot of favorites on this album, like at least 3 tracks. That track we just played, I think that was the synth thing I was talking about. That sort of like,
oh yeah, that's right,
off kilter thing. They've done that a few times in a few tracks. But there's another track of theirs on this album that the early synth part sounds like the beginning of a Michael Jackson song. But it doesn't go that way, but it just still reminds me of that. But it also just makes me feel that this track was like written a long time ago. And It's been around for a long time.
Right.
I think they do this a lot. Like I've seen them interviewed, and there was one interviewer that from Argentina, I think, that sort of mentioned an artist called Alan Parsons, I think, that was from the 1970s. And he was telling them like, oh, I hear Alan Parsons. And they were like, who? And they were like... Apparently they didn't know who this person was, but they said that they actually really enjoy hearing, people that listen to their music, Franc Moody, what their description is and what other influences they're hearing in it, because sometimes it just surprises them and it's completely not what they were thinking or whatever. And but they do also not intentionally, but I think they're very aware of the music they've listened to growing up and their influences and what they're into, to the point where they realize it's in their subconscious now. So when they're writing music, like, something can come out that sounds like something, but it's just like subconsciously coming through them because, they were like really into listening to a certain type of music for a long time or whatever. And it's just there, like.
But it's cooking in your subconscious.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing about music. It's like, it can like live there without you being like conscious of it. Right. And then you're in a situation where, I don't know, someone comes up with a riff and it makes you think, oh, it would be cool if it had this type of thing. And then you just all of a sudden, you're just drawing
it's
that
literally
from that subconscious bank right there.
Like the way our brains work, like literally the neurons are like reaching for each other and making connections.
Yeah.
And they do that in the subconscious while we're not aware of it.
Right.
And then, an idea sparks and it's like, oh, and our brains are like, boom.
Yeah.
Connection. And then we have this idea.
It is,
And we can create it from that.
It's a funny thing. I mean, this happens in all walks of life, right? Not just music, but even conversations. Like, you can have a conversation with someone and suddenly be reminded out of nowhere, out of something that you hadn't thought about for a long, long time that happened in your life.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah.
Still got it.
And this
It's right
still got it.
It's right there.
But yeah, so that was an interesting thing. Like, that's a deep rabbit hole of a subject.
I mean,
brain,
that's
neurons and
neurology.
Yeah.
Neurological science.
But I think it's interesting out of all things that people do in life, when it comes to making music, there are certain things, concepts and themes that surface, to the use of subconscious. We don't talk about that enough, I don't think.
Not enough.
Yeah, especially in music. Yeah, it's there. You just got to trust it and,
100%. Like, even if you're stuck, like, oh, I just need a bridge for this song, but I don't know, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Like, and it works for everything, bro. It comes back to manifestation. Right. It's like you let your subconscious do all the work.
Yeah.
And like when you go to sleep, that's when you're like, it's time to like tell your brain, okay, here's what I want to concentrate on.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to figure out.
Yeah.
Here's the problem I'm encountering.
Yeah.
How do I get through this? What's the next move? and think about those and meditate on those thoughts as you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
That tunes your body into being like, oh, that's what we need to figure out. Okay.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it
yeah.
does it for you.
It does. Yeah.
Our brains, literally like computers, figure it out. And then the next day at the next opportunity that we open up, the doors to that creativity, then your brain's like, boom, awesome idea. Here it is.
Yeah.
Drops it on you.
I think I talked about this before, or on another episode kind of thing about how I do that. I can't purposefully use my dreams to solve problems. Yeah. Like there was this one time, the first time I did it, a long time ago, I was in London and I was trying to record drums for this whole project, and I brought my drum kit into London, like into my friend's apartment. He moved his roommate out, and we turned his roommate's room into a live drum recording.
It's like, sorry, buddy.
We put his mattress on the wall to absorb sound.
He's like, can I move that into the other room so I go to? No, we're using that.
But anyway, I'm all mic'd up in there. His control room is in the bedroom next door, so I couldn't see him or whatever. Just hear him on the
DIY, baby.
Yeah, and I'm trying to record all these songs, and it was just really hard. I wasn't good at click tracks back then either, and it was just and I was just the whole thing was just traumatized. I couldn't figure it out. I was but also I was staying there as well. So at night I was sleeping on the floor of this drum recording room. So as I was going to sleep, I was like, I'll figure this out kind of thing. And yeah, somehow my brain processed it. That was the first time I consciously said, I got to figure this out as I was falling asleep. I woke up the next day, and then I suddenly was getting over the struggles I had the previous day and stuff like that.
Boom.
So from that point on, for me,
Beautiful.
I've always if I'm struggling on a project or something, I just sleep on it. Literally, they say that, sleep on it, but I don't really know if people really know what that means.
I
to
sleep on it with intention.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't just go to sleep and be like, I need a break.
Right.
But if you're meditate on it while you're going from that phase of consciousness to unconsciousness. That's what an interesting moment that we go through every day. Yeah. That we don't put a lot of thought into. Yeah. We go from being aware to being just gone. Yeah. Every day we all do that. Yeah. And then we come back. Yeah. We're just like nothing. And we're just like normal.
I feel like they use our energy for computing. I think we're all in a matrix, and when we're sleeping, they're using our computing energy for something else.
Yeah.
We're going to zoom in here on a TikTok. I just said that.
That's a TikTok. I'm going to edit that next week.
Anyway, yeah, that was I don't know, just the subconscious thing. Franc Moody, them talking about that. Opened up some neurons in my brain to think about certain things.
Yeah,
in
good.
That way.
The neurons are firing with this band. Yeah. I think there's a lot of connectivity. I don't know. That's the main thing of this episode that I'm getting is this band. Yeah. They breed connection. Yeah. They create it. Yeah. Between people, musicians. Yeah. Communities.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Yeah. When you listen to the music is one thing, but when you start to research who's behind the music and watch some interviews and stuff like that, you get a whole sort of different side of the story a little bit, or even go and see them live, which I haven't had the chance to do, but I think you might get that same sort of intent if you're at a live show kind of thing,
Totally.
Through their communication there.
I think it would just be about the dancing. And so we haven't really touched on it, but their live shows. Yeah. Their live shows are very good. Yeah, yeah. And they're very energetic. Like you said, there's 8 people on stage.
I have some of the band members' names because it was hard to find.
Let's throw them out.
Rosie, or Rosetta is her full name. I don't know her last name, sorry. Rosetta, but they call her Rosie, bass player. She's really good. You can see there's a clip on their YouTube channel, some crazy thing they did during lockdown, performing in a lift, aka elevator sort of thing. It's very interesting. I only watched the first 10 minutes of it into the first song. It has actors in there, and they're getting into elevators, and it's like a whole
it was
interesting thing. Yeah,
yeah. It was. I watched that too. It was like a music video, but at the same time a live performance. Yeah, short film. Yeah. There's a lot of different aspects to what that video was. Yeah, very cool, very interesting.
It was. Yeah, it's definitely. I want to go back and rewatch it on a TV or something. Big screen.
It's very engaging. Yeah, but very cool. Even just to see them play
Yeah.
I think it's live.
Yeah, I think it's definitely live because the first track, you can see Rosie doing the bass, and it's a fucking sick bass line she's playing. She's got
Yeah, it's dirty.
great tone on there as well. She's just a really solid, groovy, funky bass player.
Yeah, and she was singing too.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. Backing vocals and that.
Yeah.
Amber is another member. I'm not sure what she does. She might be on percussion or backing vocals. Dan is a drummer.
Dan.
Luke, I think, maybe on guitar. And I want to say that they said the other member was called The Hoff or Le Hoff. It might be a nickname, The Hoff.
The Hoff.
Hoffman. That's what they said as they were reeling off the band members' names. Right at the end, it was like The Hoff. And I was like, that's all I
And
caught.
the Hoff.
Yeah. So I could be messing that up. So if you're The Hoff, write in and tell us what it was like to work on Baywatch in Night Raider.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good story.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on here.
Yeah.
Franc Moody's a great band. Collective.
Yeah.
Duo.
Yeah.
2021, they come out with another album, House of FM.
All right.
8 songs. It's more of the same good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I don't have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah.
Losing Touch is a very cool track.
Yeah.
It's one of my faves off of it. It's the opening track on the album. But I mean, it's just more good stuff, but I don't have any detailed stories and we're just trying to move through this. And so if that's cool, we'll just go to the next album.
Yeah.
So we're just telling the story. Then 2022, and we're caught up to the year, Into the Ether comes out. And that's a full length album, 11 songs. And it's also very good.
Yeah.
I think we have a track to play off of it so we can all get a taste of it.
Yeah.
We're going to play I'm in a Funk, and we don't have to play it at this very moment, but that's basically all I got on Franc Moody.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to say was about how they make music. It's very simple, but and it kind of inspired me a little bit, is how they don't really like sit down to write things from beginning to end. They sort of kind of work in sort of snippets of ideas kind of thing. So one of them will have a bass line, or someone will have a short chord sequence with a hook, or sometimes they'll just have a hook or a few lyrics kind of thing. And for one track, it was even their band member Rosie. She had a bass line, and they started jamming with her, and they got together this track. So it sounds like there's different avenues into starting a song. It could come from anywhere, but it has to come from like a cool little idea, which is inspiring to me, thinking the fact that I could actually just sit down for a day and come up with a bunch of riffs on an instrument and just not really worry about it, just file them away. Because it's like, sometimes it's hard to get into that headspace of like producing a track, or, sometimes it's just nicer to just kind of pick up a guitar and come up with a few riffs. Oh, that sounds cool. Just record it,
Right.
And it seems to be that's the way they work. Like, and then they'll come together in the studio with these ideas, and then they'll layer it up. The other part about this is they definitely want that party, fun, dance vibe, but within that they're trying to make songs. So they said that if anything they write should be able to work with just the piano and vocals, and if it doesn't work that way, then they said it's not a song kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Just bare bones sort of thing, song structure. But then what they do is they layer up like on top of that. When they're making the song, I think Ned was saying that some of the funnest part of the process for him is to like do the finishing touches, which is like, we've got the structure, we've got everything there. Now let's like work on adding like vocal harmonies. And he called it BVs, backing vocals, BVs.
The BVs.
Yeah. And Hammond organ and strings. And so I think it's John's, was it John or Ned? I'm sorry, I don't know which one is which.
Well, and they also both have like bleached blonde hair.
They both
as well.
look very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they both walked out of the same punk rave.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did the same drugs. Yeah.
The same template.
They just like merged. But like his mom and sister plays violin and cello respectively, I think, and they recorded the strings you hear on their recordings are from his mum and sister.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah. And
No
that's one
way.
of the finishing touches that they add is the string parts. He gets his mum and sister to come in and play those things on it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's the what you teased us with at the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. Finally revealed.
That was so good. That was good. That's amazing. That's a great.
Yeah.
Again, bringing people together
Yeah.
is one of the themes that I see from Franc Moody.
Yeah. And just the layering up. Yeah. Like, because their music is dense, I think they'll recognize that. And they said there's been times when they've like built up a whole track and they're like, there's like this little gap and we don't know what it is. And then like one of them will just do like a little tiny little synth thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe in that song. And it just like fits in the song and just like finishes it. It's like, oh, that's all we needed. Just that little thing right there, yeah.
Simple.
But and the lo-fi thing they talk about, which they call craggy. But I'm not really sure what they're talking about when they talk about lo-fi, because lo-fi to me sounds just like, you know, I don't know, like vinyl texture over a beat that you've like, you know, recorded to cassette tape and then recorded back in. I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds staticky.
Yeah.
Far away.
But I think they're trying to say they don't like things too polished, which I don't really know, because like in this album, Dream in Color to me sounds polished. Like
I was noticing that too.
Yeah,
They said, we leave stuff rough around the edges.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, pretty loosey goosey.
Yeah.
But yeah, you put on the album and it sounds, it's I think they're just being very,
modest. Or...
I think they're being modest.
I mean, I guess maybe they like really the finishing touches, like it depends on how a track's mixed and mastered, right? Can really sort of change a thing. So they might have like done what they thought was like a lo-fi / craggy drum beat, but then once it's mixed and mastered, it
eventually
like,
doesn't feel like that.
Exactly, yeah.
From the outside perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got the vibe in there, I think. Maybe that's more what they're sort of talking about is the
initial inspiration.
the inspiration, how it like how a certain part can inspire another part and, you know, fit together, like, you know, with their sort of syncopated things that they do a lot and stuff like that. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought that stuff was interesting.
Yeah, craggy.
Inspiring. Craggy.
What does it mean? Let us know.
Yeah. Down by the crags.
The Cragmen.
Craggen. Anyway, I lost it now. I have nothing else to say. That was it. Yeah.
Franc Moody. I feel good about it.
Yeah, man. It's good
All
music.
right. Then
Good music.
We're going to play a song called I'm in a Funk. Yeah. And I think we're all going to be feeling like we're in a good way in a funk when we're listening to this all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, Franc Moody's super great. What else we got? That's it, I think, right? Yeah, if you guys...
I was going to say an announcement. Roots to Grooves announcement. We have a YouTube channel now.
Hey.
Dedicated. YouTube.com/@Roots to Grooves. YouTube do this new thing now. We have
The
at kind of like TikTok. I think if you try and go to a TikTok in a web browser or something
You
like
still go at?
yeah.
Okay.
At. So yeah, YouTube.com/@Roots to Grooves. We're going to be every episode up there, and clips as well. I'm working on putting these little nuggets of interesting things from each episode.
Yeah.
As their own video on there.
It's going to be good, guys.
Yeah.
We're excited.
So,
and,
subscribe.
We're doing it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does help us out a lot if you leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit us up on Twitter at Roots to Grooves. YouTube is all taken care of. We're on TikTok at SIGNL Radio. What is that one called? SignalRadio.com?
And just at SIGNL.
No, just at SIGNL Radio.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yes. Confirmed.
Denied.
Where else are we? And at our Instagram.
Instagram.
At Roots to Grooves.
Yeah, none of this stuff is updated because we forget about it.
No, it's some of it's
Where
pre-updated.
else are we? Yeah.
It should technically be updated.
We have a Friendster. Yeah.
But anyway, hang out with us on the web. Find us on Instagram. What's the thing I usually say? Give us the email if you guys want to hit us up. Bye.
Yeah, you got to write to us any interesting things. Sorry.
If you guys got something to say about what we're saying, Jay will give it to the email.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com. SIGNL radio.com.
Roots to Grooves is a production of SIGNL Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.